What is up, you guys, and welcome back to my poker vlog. This is episode number 12. In this episode, we go over some 1-3 and 2-5 cash game session hands from Agua Caliente, California, in Rancho Mirage, California. We jumped into the 1-3 game, bought in for 300, then quickly transferred over to the 2-5 game and bought in for 500. So you're going to want to stay tuned to the end of the session to see if we ended up holding with our aces and kings that we got at the 2-5 table. You're also going to want to stay tuned to the end of the video because if I end up booking a profit and you guys comment down below, I'm going to send out some money to a couple people that do so. Just my way of giving back and saying thank you. Stay tuned to the end of the video and you'll know if I booked a profit. If I did, make sure you drop a comment, subscribe, and like the video, and you could be someone who's receiving some cash from me. So yeah, you guys came here for some poker hands. Let's just jump right into it. And on to the first hand. So I started filming this video and it happened to be one of the 5 days out of the year in California that it's raining. Obviously not a lot, but if it gets a little bit worse, I'm going to have to maybe move inside. I just like the lighting a lot better out here, but let's just try to run through these hands here before the rain actually starts to come down. So our first hand, we have $250 in the under the gun position. We have pocket twos, and I put in the limp. Two other people limp. Limps over to the button, who raises it up to $8. Pretty stupid raise, so I'm not going to be going anywhere when it comes back around to me. And both of the other limpers put in the call. So the flop with $35 in it now comes king, king, queen, and it checks to the button now, who bets $10. And I actually put in the call here, planning to maybe make a bluff on the turn or the river. I just don't think that there's going to be a lot of kings and queens in the pre-flop raiser's range when he only raises it up to $8 over a couple limps. I think if you had a king or queen, like a strong one, you'd probably raise it up in the neighborhood of $15 to $20, not $8. So I'm putting in the call here, planning on stealing it later. So now we're going heads up to the turn with $55 in it, which comes the ace. I now lead for $28 here, representing an ace, a king, or a queen, something like that. And if he doesn't have something like that, he's probably going to have to put in the fold. I think any pocket pair that beats my twos but is less than the board, I think they also have to put in the fold. So I think this is a good bet here. And I don't want it to get checked through and then I bet on the river something like 25 or 30 bucks and then he just puts in the call. So I put the lead in here for $28 and he puts in the fold. I end up asking him later if he had pocket eights or something like that, and he actually said he had something worse. So I still think that we were beat with our twos, maybe like somewhere between fours and sevens, or maybe he just had like a jack high type hand. Either way, we win that pot and we're going to go on to the next hand. With $280 now in our stack, we look down at 7-3 of diamonds from the big blind. One person puts in the limp, and now middle position player who up until this point was a very tight player. He's an older Asian man, and so I'm definitely going to proceed with caution in this hand if I have the chance to do so. And he puts in the raise to $9 here. Strange raises. I don't get why people raise so small in this game pre-flop. But I call, and now the limper puts in the call. I'm not going to be folding for $6 here. He has a pretty narrow range here because he's been playing like maybe 10% of the hands given to him. So we can, if we make a big hand here and he also hits an ace or a king or something like that, we can definitely win a sizable pot here. The flop with $27 in it comes 6-6-4 with two diamonds. So obviously we have the gutter to the 5, we have the front door diamond draw, we have a lot of good things here. We can also represent a 6, stuff like that, whereas the pre-flop raiser probably can't represent many of those things. Checks to the pre-flop raiser here, and he bets $22 into 27. Pretty strong bet here, so now I'm putting him on a pocket pair type hand and over pair to the board. I don't think he's really doing this with ace, king, king, queen. He doesn't seem like someone who does many bets when he doesn't actually have a made hand. So he bets 22 into 27 here, and I actually put in the call here, and the other player puts in the fold. I think that my call here is fine because obviously I have the equity to the flush draw and I have the equity to the gutter for the straight. I also can represent some big hands on the turn or the river and put a lot of pressure on his overpair type hands. So we're going heads up to the turn. The turn comes a deuce of hearts now. I put in the check again and now he bets $32. 32 into like 70 here. I think it's still a value type of bet. I don't think he's bluffing at all here. But the thing is, the board disconnected. There's a flush draw, there's the straights, there's a lot of set possibilities for me that are now boats, stuff like that. I think that a raise here is pretty good. A semi-bluff, obviously not all the time, but in this situation, that's what I do. I put in the raise here, so I raise him up from $32 all the way up to $102. Really putting a lot of pressure on his overpair type hands that I'm putting him on right here. I don't think that if he puts in the call here on the turn, I don't think that he could call an all-in on the river, which is what I would do, regardless if I make my straight or my flush, or if I just completely brick out. So I think two streets will definitely get the job done here against an overpair. He ends up tanking for around 30 to 45 seconds, looked pretty pained, checked his cards again, and tossed them into the muck. So we get that semi-bluff through there, feels pretty good. If he was going to call there, like I said, I was definitely going to fire on the river regardless if we missed. So yeah, we win that one. It feels good to get a semi-bluff through. At this point, our name gets called for the 2-5 table. The wait list wasn't that long. We were only here for about an hour, and we end up cashing out for $365 here, so a profit of $65. Hope we can keep this up for you guys, that way you guys can get paid at the end here. And we're going to jump into some hands at the 2-5 table. Bought in for $556. Don't ask me why, that's just what I wanted to do. And we jump into the first hand here with 530 in our stack. We look down at ace-3 of clubs from the button. The under the gun +1 position player limps. I raise it up now to $20, as I do it occasionally with my my suited wheel type hands and stuff like that. So I raise it up to 20. The small blind, the big blind, and the limp are all put in the call here. So now the flop comes with $80 in it. Ace of diamonds, queen of clubs, 8 of hearts. So obviously we have top pair, but a pretty weak kicker. So we're probably going to be putting in one bet here and then proceeding accordingly on the turn in the river. Checks to me, and I end up betting 50 into 80 here, which I think is fine. And everybody puts in the fold, so we just scoop that $80 pot uncontested. On to the next hand. With $580 now in our stack, we look down at pocket 10s from the small blind. Middle position player raises to $15. The cutoff puts in the call, and now I raise it up to $70 here because I obviously have a very good hand, and I don't really want to go that multi-weighed to a flop. I'm fine with taking this pot down here with my pocket 10s, very vulnerable, but I also want to price people out of calling with hands like Jack Queen, King Queen, stuff like that. That can hit a pair and beat us pretty easily. So I make it $70 here, and the big blind now puts in the cold call, which I find interesting. Definitely got to be careful of him. The middle position initial raiser puts in the fold, strange, and now the cutoff puts in the call. So definitely things I didn't see happening here when I put in the raise. I probably thought the initial player that raised was going to put in the call and everybody else was going to fold. Either way, we get a cold call from the big blind, the initial raiser folds, and now one of the limpers puts in the call. So going three ways to the flop, which will come 7-5-3. I end up betting $60 now into 225, which I think is a mistake here. I think either we should be betting a lot bigger, or if we're going to be putting pocket 10s into our checking range, that's another option as well. I think a small bet here doesn't really do too much, and it puts a lot of weird situations back at us when something like this happens, where the big blind player now jams all in for another $400 here. It's hard for us to tell here if this is value or if he's just targeting our small bet here, which is why I don't really like the small bet that I did in the moment. But the cutoff puts in the fold, and I begrudgingly put in the fold as well. I kind of talked to him a little bit while I'm playing the hand, and he says, just fold. So obviously you can't trust people all the time, but I did this time. I show my 10s to be nice, hoping to goad him into showing his cards as well to me, which he does. He shows pocket 5s for the flop set. So definitely love the call from him pre-flop with the pocket 5s. We had him dominated 80-20, just if it was heads up against him, but you know, he got lucky that time, ended up flopping his set. Yeah, he won that pot there, but I definitely think he missed out on a good amount of value there by raising. With $270 now in our stack, we look down at ace of spades, 10 of diamonds from the low jacker. From the low jack, there's one limper to me, and I raise it up to $20. The hijack calls, the big blind also puts in the call, so we're going three ways to the flop, which comes ace of diamonds, 6 of diamonds, 10 of spades. So we have two pair here, obviously very good for us. We're beating any ace now that had us beat pre-flop, like ace jack, ace queen, all those kind of things. And it checks to me now, and I bet $35 into 60 here. I think this is a good bet here. We could also be betting like 40 or 45, but I put in $35 here. Hijack puts in the call here, And now the big blind puts in the check raise. So definitely putting him on a strong ace here, and he check raises to $160. He was a pretty straightforward player. That's why I said I was putting him on a strong ace here. Obviously, good players can also have a lot of draws in their check raising range, especially on the flop. Yeah, he puts in the check raise here to 160, and I only have 235 behind, so I'm just going to be putting it all in here. There's no point in me calling, and then another diamond comes and he gets scared and ends up folding somehow. So I just put in my stack for 235. Hijack puts in the fold here, as we probably expected, and the big blind calls, which is to be expected as well. The turn with $563 now in the pot comes another 10, the 10 of hearts. So we fill up here. We are definitely feeling good about our hand now if we weren't on the flop, which I don't know why we wouldn't. The river comes to 6 of clubs. He shows ace king like we thought, and we end up scooping that $563 pot with our full house. Lucky us. 2 more hands to go here, and we have $635 now in our stack. And we look down at ace of hearts, ace of diamonds from the low jack. Great hand to look down to, and I raise it up to $35 here over 2 limpers. The hijack puts in the call, and the big blind now goes all in for $100. So now the decision is on us. Do we flat call or do we put in the raise here? We obviously have other people that are interested in their hands here. And I think that I can also make my hand look a little bit weaker than it is if I just flat here. Someone could reopen the action and decide to put in the all-in and try to get me off my hand. People like to do that a lot. So I think a raise or a flat here is fine. Probably better in the long run just to be putting in the raise here. You can't go wrong with winning a pot outright with your pocket aces and getting it heads up. But in the moment, I decided to play it a little bit more tricky. I just flatted the 100, and now it goes over to the hijack, who falls for our trap, and now goes all in for $335 here. Obviously loving the situation that's developing here. We put in the snap call. Big blind shows his pocket threes, which is obviously favorable for us. We have our aces, obviously, so we're definitely 80% favorite over him. We still don't know what the other guy jammed with, probably something like ace king. So now the main pot has $300 in it, obviously, and the side pot has around $470 in it. The flop comes 3 of spades, deuce of clubs, ace of clubs. So obviously that's not great for us because we're pretty much drawing to 2 outs here. Hopefully we're still ahead of the other guy who jammed. The turn now comes the 9 of clubs. The river comes the queen of diamonds. The big blind obviously scoops the main pot of $300. The hijack shows ace king offsuit, so we are going to scoop the main pot here of $470. As you can see from the graphic right here, we had 73% equity pre-flop against the pocket threes and the ace king offsuit. So yeah, like 7.5 out of 10 times there, we're going to be winning this pot, the entirety of it. Unfortunately for us, we ended up losing to a set, but fortunately for us, we got the other guy to put in his entire stack. So we ended up making a profit in this hand here, so we're not too upset about that. Last hand of the day, we look down at pocket kings in the cutoff. We have around $650 in our stack here, which is pretty average for the table. Folds to me, and I put in a raise to $20 from the cutoff. The button, who was a huge action player up until this point, he was raising and 3-betting people like crazy. At one point, there was, I think, 30 or 40 bucks in the pot. He takes a stack of green chips, which is $500, and just puts it into the middle. Everybody folds, and he shows like 7-4 offsuit. So he's one of those types of players. Everybody wants him at the table. So this aforementioned player is on the button here, and he raises our $20 bet up to $120 here. So great news for us. He's not slowing down the aggression just yet. The small blind folds. The big blind now puts in the cold call here. So I don't even think that this is anything worse than like pocket jacks in this situation, maybe pocket tens at the bottom. He's a very good player, solid, doesn't play that many hands, maybe 30% of his hands. So yeah, when he cold calls here, that's definitely alarming, but I have a feeling that we're definitely ahead with our kings. He probably has queens or jacks, something like that, maybe ace king. Now the decision is on me. Obviously the action has been reopened because I raised it to 20, he raised it to 120. We get a cold call from the big blind. I end up checking the size of both of the players' stacks here. The big blind has around $400 behind, and the button has us both covered here. So if it was heads up here against the crazy button player, I'd probably just put in the flat here. I don't want to scare him out of the pot, obviously with all of his bluffs, and there's a lot of the bluffs, believe me. But with another player in here who's pretty strong, I think that a raise here is in order. He also only has 400 behind here, so I could just raise it up to 400. But I just decided to go all in here. I have around $600 total. Yeah, I think our raise here is fine. I raise it up to $600 here, which is all in. And the button player looks at his cards for a while and puts in the fold, which we don't like. And now it goes back around to the big blind, who we're also hoping puts in the call for his remaining 280. And he ends up putting in the fold as well, begrudgingly. He ended up saying later that he had pocket jacks, so that's interesting. And the button actually had a pretty strong hand for him. He had pocket eights. So yeah, heads up, I definitely would have just flatted the button's raise, but against two opponents, I think a raise there is in order. I could have raised it somewhere in the neighborhood of 380 or 400, but given that the other guy only had 400 behind, I decided that I should just put my stack in. Like I said earlier, it's never really a bad idea just to win a pot uncontested. Obviously, we win 240 in dead money, plus the other people that were in the hand that ended up folding to my raise. So yeah, we can't be mad with a $250 profit uncontested. So we ended up cashing out of the 2-5 game for $929, so we booked a $373 profit in that one and a profit of $438 on the night. We ended up playing for around 4 hours, around an hour and a half in the 1-3 game and 2.5 hours in the 2-5 game. So yeah, we booked a profit. So how can you guys win some money? Let me tell you. So I'm gonna give two people here $10. I'm gonna send it to Venmo, Square Cash, PayPal, whatever you want, Zelle. I can do snail mail, whatever you want. All you have to do to be eligible for me to send you this money is just like the video. You have to be a subscriber, so hit the subscribe button and just leave a comment down below. It could be something that you like about the vlogs, something you don't like about the vlogs, something you don't like about me or like about me, or it could be something helping me get better at poker based on the hands I just gave you. So yeah, just drop a comment down below. I'm going to be choosing two people to send money out to, and I'll get in contact with you. I don't think it's good if everyone just starts dropping all their like Venmo handles and stuff like that. You might get hacked. I don't want that to happen. So if you're someone who wins, I'll just message you, then you can DM me on Instagram and we'll sort it out through there. I'll post the winners on my next video so that way you guys see that I'm actually following up with this. But yeah, drop a comment down below, subscribe, like the video, and you're eligible. I'm also going to be heading down to the desert this weekend, which means I'm going to be playing at Agua Caliente and Morongo. A lot of you guys are interested in knowing where I play and when, so let me tell you. Tentatively, I will be playing at Agua Caliente on Friday, December 6th. Tentatively, I'm driving down that night, so if I end up getting too tired, I may not show up. Then on Saturday, December 7th, I'm for sure going to be playing at Morongo Casino. Somewhere after 10 p.m. I'm dropping someone off at the airport at LAX, and then on my way back down to the desert, I'm going to be hitting up Morongo somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 or 11 p.m. So you can find me there. And then Agua Caliente, definitely Sunday and Monday, the 8th and 9th of December. Monday is my favorite day to go to Agua because they have the Monday Night Football promotion. So if you guys are wanting to come out to one of those days, Sunday or Monday, we recommend coming Monday. They put $50 in the pot for every touchdown and $25 in the pot for every field goal. And a lot of people come and they only have 10 tables that run, so you want to get there early, because if you, one time I got there at like 5:30 and the game starts at 5:15, ended up having to wait an hour for a seat, which never happens. So I'd suggest getting there like at 4:45 if you want for that. That's when I'll be getting there on Monday, and Sunday I'll probably get there maybe at like 6 or 7 and end up playing till like 11 or 12. So yeah, Agua Caliente on Friday, Morongo Saturday, and Agua Caliente Sunday and Monday. If you want to meet up with me and say what's up, I'll be there those dates. Hit me up on Instagram to make sure that I am for sure coming. I'd hate to let you know this and then not show up and you're all bummed. But yeah, good luck on the tables if I don't see you at any of those casinos near you, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace! Thanks for watching to the end of my video. Click my head below to subscribe and stay in the loop. See you next time.